this auditorium, and the idea of what it is. Of course, you go on the internet for anything you want. You can get any information you want. And a lot of people that you love to get information from, I'll bet you have personal questions or things you like to have a rapport with, or be able to answer your question, or things you never thought of, whether it's a publisher, a book publisher, a museum, or a gallery, a curator, director. So our plan is to try to be unique and keep this. Don't forget, we're still in our beta stage, so everything was in development. But we only want to have this for our members because the benefit of the membership, we want to really kind of make it exclusive, where only you folks can ask questions that you've always wanted to ask of specific people that you might know, whether it's well-known photographers or famous models, or gallery curators, museum people, or whoever it might be. We have an art dealer coming up soon, and the publisher of one of my books will be on, and we could ask any type of questions, and other photographers, colleagues, and we're open to suggestions of who you would like to see. But to start this, what I wanted to do is there's a photographer who is, I think, quite special and really been quite unique, who I've known for many years, and you'll find out why and everything. And he's had a really unique career path. So this person I met a number of years ago, and he became my assistant. Now, he's not on because he was my assistant, but after experiences and working with me and so forth, I guess he followed my unique career path. In other words, it was like he probably didn't know what he wanted to do. So he started working in New York, and after he went on his own, he started working in New York, and he took off for Europe, and he went to Milan, and then from Milan he went to France as a fashion photographer, and he wound up staying there 30 years, or over 30 years. So I'd like you to meet Tom Skiffington, who's with the guitar behind him, and he's an amazing photographer. He's always had not only such a great eye, but such a great mind. And he's always put stories together in his fashion shooting and everything else. Well, all the things that he does as a commercial photographer, a fashion photographer, he got to the point, and he'll tell you why, he got to the point that he wanted to just really, he took on something that you usually don't do, was a lot of times many wedding and portrait photographers would love to be a fashion photographer. Well, the way things went for him, he wound up becoming a wedding photographer, but continues to do certain fashion and so forth. But he took what he had and the ideas and the storytelling aspects as his other, and he created a career, developed as a wedding photographer with the most unique kind of images and storytelling and things, that he's in such demand that he takes on fashion assignments, but he's in such demand all over, but he's based out of Paris. So there's so many things that I'm going to ask Tom some questions. I want to show you some of his images. But the important thing is, I love you to get something out of this, because whether it's why did he go off to Europe, what it was his experience of doing it, and what you could get out of the transition between doing fashion and beauty and advertising work. And also he started doing children's fashion work for a while, and what he brought into it in a unique way that's been really special. So first, I'd like to introduce you to Tom, who's sitting there in Paris now.
Hello, everyone.
And Tom and I had great experiences together. You can ask us about some of it but however, that's not the important thing. But let me just say another thing. The way I met Tom is, if you remember the great Brooks Institute of Photography in Santa Barbara, I got asked to do a lecture there and some kind of workshop. And this was, my God, Tom, what year was that?
86, 85. 85.
Was it? Okay, so 1985. And they assigned this guy to me to assist me while I was there. So there I am in my hotel parking lot with a huge driveway and this nice, the Four Seasons Hotel in Montecito,
It
and
was the
this
built, the built.
little built the right to build more, and this little Fiat, this miniature little Fiat, comes along, pulls in the driveway. The door opens, and this guy who's 6'5" comes out of this little miniature Fiat, and that was Tom Skiffington. That was my introduction to him. He got out of school, came knocking on my door in New York, and the rest is now he's sitting in Paris asking me for a job back. So, however, so Tom, first tell us your experience as far as how your career evolved.
Well, that's a long story.
I know how many years. Well, you don't have to give us all the detail. Just kind of.
Being super inspired. I had questions to ask myself: am I going to stay in New York and compete as a fashion photographer? I'd heard about going over to Europe, and it offered a lot of possibilities. Each different countries had different magazines, and the clothes were a lot more better than Tommy Hilfiger and Ralph Lauren. And the opportunity to go to Milan, I took it and went over there to stay 6 months, a year, and ended up staying 4 years in Milan. Worked for dozens of magazines. Went off to Germany, Austria, Amsterdam, London, Paris. Got some work. Ended up coming to Paris. It got a great agent, Karen Boyer, an American, and she found me a lot of work, and I stayed in Paris.
And and it's funny because when we started working together in the very beginning, I don't think you were ever in Europe until then. Was that the first time?
In Madrid and Barcelona, Paris.
Well, right, but I mean that was your first introduction going into Europe.
First trip to Europe, yeah, with you.
Yeah, and after that, he just kind of got lost there and was great. And we used to go on. I've got spoiled too. We've had trips where the client sent us on the Concorde, and it was just such special trips. So Tom going out on his own totally impresses what he's done. And Jean-Michel, if we could pull up some of the variation of his images.
The opening ceremony, the Olympics with the royal family on their terrace. I love the one in the middle walking down the street with the finger on the sign. I love contrast. Right. I love take the classic intimate thing of a wedding and then find contrast with it. A supermarket. Let's go to a supermarket and shoot right before the wedding. Well, it was their civil service. Take it out of context. So many of the clients at weddings ask me to shoot in front of the Eiffel Tower or the famous bridges, and I do that. But then I say, well, I got another idea.
Look how beautiful just a woman in a field is on the right.
Yeah, that was a good time. It was springtime out in the country, shooting at a chateau, and I said, let's go out the country and do some shots. Well, I had shot in a Polaroid of my wife in that outfit, cooking in the kitchen, and I said, let's set up a shot. So I set it up against our wall with our old funky TV and my son with a cowboy hat on the thing, and there it is. That was in Costa Rica. That's not too easy to do, to get a private airplane pilot on the runway that was running the engine, and there was a propeller. It was moving down the road. Totally illegal, but my brother set it up, and we got it done. A fashion shot for German Esquire magazine.
Oh, I love the girl with the on the right.
What do you call her? Fifi Brandesay? We were in South Africa shooting a catalog for French catalog. A couple of weeks, and the stylist had an idea and me to shoot Fifi Brandesay. We did a casting, found a girl with the red hair. Had the style makeup hairstylist tie up her hair. And I went around and tried to find a kind of a States-looking neighborhood, and flashed it with a little Norman 200B flash, and that's it. And it got printed in Milk magazine in France later.
I loved it in Italy here. The girl on a motor scooter. I guess that's Italy.
Oh yeah, that was in Saint-Tropez. We're shooting a fashion shooting for German magazine, and I had an idea. Let's ask these cops and see if we can get that moped. And they said okay, and they did the whole thing. They were very cool.
So when you do these the magazines, do you approach them with a story idea that you have? As opposed to just doing individual shots?
Often, but after a while, if you work for them a lot, they'll get a collection and they'll say, well, this should be shot on a beach in somewhere, or this should be shot in the city, and then you go out and interpret it as best you can, or to your style, and you shoot it your way.
Right. Oh, that was that was on my shooting.
Yeah.
See, Tom
Robert,
took
unbelievable
what?
shoot to Concorde, to London, first class British Airways to Nairobi, private airplane to Kenya. Robert had to shoot a photo for a movie with Ted Danson, what Ali Sheedy.
Yeah, and Ted Danson, Nellie Sheedy, and two
Robert
M.
Robert and the art director booked a 3-day private safari and said we were location looking.
That was the way to do it.
Yeah, those were the days. So we're driving around a Jeep and a private guide in a Kenyan safari. Yeah, I started working
See,
for magazines. I really found I was really the best of I was the best of my work was in kids, which I found out later by mistake. I'd shot in for a magazine, and they asked me if I shot kids. I lied and said yes. They said, "Can I see your portfolio?" It was around Christmas. I said, "Well, my agent's got it, and she's on vacation." And they said, "Well, we got a trip to Miami. We'll book you to shoot kids," and that's what started my career in shooting kids. So sometimes you got to twist the truth a little bit to get ahead.
As far as the kind of editorial fees that they pay in Europe compared to the advertising rate that they pay.
Oh, well, the advertising's through the roof. It depends on if it's a big Evian or car commercial, or it depends on where it's being seen. If it's just being seen local in France, or if it's being seen all over Europe, it's a different rate. If it's seen all over the world, a different rate. The magazines generally paid at the time 150 to 250 a page, but you'd shoot 10 pages a day and make 2,500. One time I was booked to shoot 8 pages, and the stylist, when I got there, was in the studio. She says, "Well, we've got all these clothes. We want you to shoot 22 pages. I know it's going to be real hard for you." I'm going, "Great. I'm going to make a ton of money." We shot 22
Uh,
pages in the studio one day.
yeah, and I've had it the opposite way, where they say we're going to do all of these shots, and they wind up putting all within 2 pages, and you only get paid for the 2 pages.
Full page.
Now,
The magazine was Maxime, the men's magazine.
right. And now, what percentage of your work is your wedding photographs compared to your commercial work?
Weddings and events is 80% right now, because that's the way it is. I'm getting people calling, and that's the way it is.
You've built up a reputation with that, and it's great. And I keep telling Tom his workload at this point in his career should go down, and his prices should come up. And when you're in demand like that,
And one of your
well,
questions you're looking for earlier asked me, is it going from a wedding photographer to a fashion, or is it better being a fashion photographer than going to weddings? Um, I think it would have been more interesting if I started shooting weddings, because you try and find the things happening before you, and you catch the images and you shoot images you wouldn't look for, whereas the fashion are more planned out. And so I think I would have had more of an edge, or shot a more things that I didn't see if I had done weddings before and then moved into fashion.
oh no, absolutely. You're able. I mean, you create these scenarios with these wedding shots that aren't normally in wedding albums, or you see with it, and it really keeps you separate from the pack of what they usually want.
I don't like
So,
wedding shots. The clients ask me to do them, and I'll do them quickly, and then I'll say, "Well, what about this?" And 90% say, "Well, let's try that too."
right. So you find the success of your things come when you just go off on your own. You cover the basic portraits, I guess, and then you go off on your
I
own.
will always, in 5 minutes, I can shoot all the cliche shots. Everybody knows them. And you can tell the beginning wedding photographers, event photographers, because that's all they got. They don't know how to take it.
Right.
but I'll shoot that in 5 minutes. And then I would see something like that happening in the street. I ask those guys to shoot in front of you, and there it is.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
I went into the store. I said, let's look at this space. They want to go inside. Can we go in? When the people have wedding outfits on, people are very nice and open to it. If that was a fashion shot and you didn't call before and just ask them, can we come in and shoot? They might be hesitant.
I love what you did with this one.
Yeah, we had talked about that before with the couple. They're a very avant-garde couple. They met me before, and we discussed about doing something really artsy funky. And we went to this abandoned place, and we just went wild. And we had great dozens and dozens of amazing shots, and they were totally into it.
Is there any specific ones that you would consider your absolute favorite?
The next one, Robert.
The one you haven't done yet?
The one I haven't done yet.
I mean, I really appreciate those.
Thank you,
And
Robert. I was
let me.
inspired and I learned from the master, you.
Well, that's the reason I have you here, because you would say something like that. No, Anyway, but we've always had a great relationship, and I've always had that with anybody that I've worked with. You could ask Jean-Michel, who's going on 11 years, but we've had a good break because of the pandemic. Not a good break, but so anyway. But as far as, let me ask you this, because people that are really just getting going, are really serious about it. Would you say they should assist before they go out on their own? I asked that.
It depends on what field they're going into. If you're going into fashion, you
Yeah,
might want to assist for sure, just to learn a little of the business and what's going on, and you can make some connections. Also, you'll meet some stylists and some makeup artists, because just going on your own, if you're starting, without knowing anyone, if
yeah,
assisting, you're going to meet some professional working people that you can maybe help make your book together.
mhm.
Weddings, I had to go on a few, and just I wasn't paid, just to find out what the rules and what I could do and what I couldn't do. Where do you step in and out of bounds when these people, sticking a camera in their face, and especially during the religious ceremonies, how close can you go? What can you do? I didn't know any of that, so
Yeah, before.
I had to go with some people and ask questions before I could really start shooting on my own.
Right. And I asked you that because I came into photography by not assisting. And when I got my first assignment, it was like I had mentioned many times, because it was from an outdoor art show. And she gave me an assignment, but I didn't even know what a stylist was. I didn't know what you were supposed to do. So I didn't assist. I didn't find out those things. So this is not my story. I want to ask you, but what I do want to mention
Your story worked out
is that
very well.
another thing that about assisting is that, because when you're assisting, you don't know what kind of photography you want to get into, and you start working in fashion for a photographer that you never thought you want to go in fashion, and you have another person does still eyes or interiors or whatever it might be. So assisting is great. Go ahead.
It could be confusing.
Well, yeah, assisting is great because you're going to find new directions that you didn't even think about, aside from all the things that you just mentioned.
But today's,
So,
with all the information on the internet, you can learn a lot. When I started, that didn't exist, and you might want to just go on your own and start, because you can find
right.
a lot of
And
things.
and all of that is the point of what we're trying to do with this, because
Well, there you
we want to
go.
be able, yeah, we want to be able to. You could go on the internet and find out, but here you are on the internet,
Yeah.
and we could ask you some questions. So I hope you folks are thinking of some things that you might want to ask, and it'll even open up more. So um, I think we should open it up now, and have you guys ask Tom some questions, and I'm sure it'll take us in another path we didn't even think of. So, has anyone been thinking of anything that would give you more insight or further insight to your direction or ideas, or think, how is it to go off to Europe, or how is it to whatever? But, or if you're interested in wedding portraits, or remember, this is also important if you're just passionate about photography and it's not your career, but you just love photography. And how do you come up with ideas and thoughts that'll take you in directions creatively that you never thought of? Because Tom went all over the place creatively and could give you some inspiration. So, with that said, do we have questions?
Yeah, you got to take her here. Hi, Tom. I love your photographs. Before the meeting, I went onto your website and was really impressed with a lot of the interaction you had with the people you photographed. So one of the I used to do weddings a long time ago, and I hate them at this point, but I do understand there's money to be made there, and I'm thinking of getting back into it.
Yeah.
So a couple of questions. Are you with much of a size of a crew holding lights when you're shooting?
No, I work alone.
Ah, doesn't
Totally.
look that way. So I mean, then it's even more impressive.
Things very simple in my fashion career too, but of course I had assistants and wedding I go alone. I show up alone. I do my own thing. No art directors, no stylists, nobody tell me what to do. Total freedom, and I love it.
Wow. And then the follow-up question to that is, do you have favorite spots, whichever city you're in, that you tend to go to time and time again? And or do you seems like there's a lot of spontaneity in your photographs when people are jumping or sitting up somewhere and so on.
Yeah, there are, unfortunately, I go back to some spots, go-to spots that I know are going to work, and if there's not a lot of time, but I love a new spot. Anything that's new that I haven't shot that's inspiring, because I've already shot there and I know the best shot to get there. I do not like doing the same shot twice. So new cities, new places, new adventures, new anything is what I love to do, and it's inspiring. As far as the jumping and the moving, the people I shoot for the wedding, they're not models or they're not a thing, and a lot of them tell me, we don't know, we're a little afraid. And the first thing I do is just say, okay, start walking, start moving, start doing this, and it really loosens them up. And then you see how far you can go, and you have fun with it. Instead of starting off static, cliche, move your arm here, put your position here, which I see a lot of beginning photographers do. And I think if you lose the people right away then.
Yeah, and the last part question
movement
to all of this is, one of the reasons I didn't like weddings is I'd be there all day, like 8 to 12 hours. Is that the case with you?
Oh yeah, it's exercise. You better be in shape. It keeps me in shape, Alfred. Okay. I love it. I get free exercise, I get paid for it, and I shoot what I want.
Perfect.
Positives.
Thank you. Appreciate your answers.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Tom, I've got a quick question. It's Jean-Michel. Do you shoot just on the wedding day, or do you also sometimes plan a day before the wedding to shoot with the couple, or do you?
If they have, if their day is really booked, from the preparation to the ceremony religious to the cocktail, the soiree, if there's not a lot of time after for seance artistic, and I will suggest before or after to shoot for a couple hours, and some do. And it's a great time because if it's after, they have another opportunity to put on their clothes again, walk down the street, people clap, happy marriage, and there's no stress or pressure. And I find a lot of websites, I can tell that the people, it's not their wedding day, and I kind of think it's cheating. 90% of my photos, or 95, are the wedding day. So I squeeze in those artistic shots on the wedding day.
Nice. Yeah.
Which is not so easy.
I did have a quick question. In terms of lenses that you're using, what do you like to use most?
For fashion, I used basically 2 lenses, Alfred. I used a 50 millimeter 1.4, and I'd shoot 85% of my work with that, and a one wide angle, 35 millimeter.
You keep it simple.
I had longer lenses in my bag, but I don't like the perspective. I like story.
Yeah.
And for weddings, I have a zoom. You have to have a zoom because things happen. If you have only fixed lenses and you need something quick, 10 people come in front of you and you've got a long lens on, you're screwed. So the zoom is really helpful. I never used a zoom in fashion, only fixed lenses. And I have a 105 macro. That's the longest lens I have. I know a lot of wedding people have this 70 to 200 zoom. I don't feel the need to have super long lens. If I want to get the long lens, I just walk closer.
That's why everyone has big noses in your pictures.
There you go.
So 2 lenses, that's it. But 2 bodies in case one breaks, two flashes, two lenses.
There you go.
So that's
I've shot in Marrakesh and Greece and Switzerland, New York, LA, all over the world for weddings and fashion. But just simple equipment. I find the more equipment you have, the more technical, and the more you try and do stuff with it. Just it's like a paintbrush. Just work with something simple.
Agreed.
Amen.
Amen.
All right. Well, do you ever, I know you work so spontaneously, but do you ever share certain ideas that you have for a wedding thing, image that you want to capture with the bride and groom before? Like show them either a magazine or an idea that you have?
So,
or
yes,
just go with the light and the attitude?
Contact me, Robert, and they call and they've seen my work and it's through a referral. I don't advertise. They know what I do. They know my style. And I say, okay, what kind of style are you? Are you classic? Or are you like more rock and roll? Are you like this? Or you want to go to walk around cafes? Or you want to go to the landmarks? And when I get a feel what they want on the wedding day, I'll say, well, the weather is, if it's raining, you got to go to a certain place. If it's sunny and whatever. And then I'll just throw out some ideas and they say, great, 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 or no, great. And we go from there. It's all very fast.
And do you ever get in a situation where they don't get it, the couple? They just don't get it and they're not cooperative?
We discussed it maybe on the phone before. I'll ask them. And before I meet them, a lot of them I don't even meet. They just call. They've seen my work. They know people have worked with me. And then I see them that wedding day and we'll discuss a little more what we're going to do. 5 minutes. And yeah, no problems. It's fun. It's wedding. It's a magic day. It's a fiesta.
Right. You have a good attitude.
Sorry, Alfred, had a bum time. You probably shot cliche shots, Alfred. I don't know. Did you?
Yeah, unfortunately, for the most part, the most fun was shooting outside of the church.
Yeah.
And doing just off the cuff stuff, but most of the time they were those standard pose things.
And Alfred, I'm surprised. You should take what you do as a street photographer.
During the cocktail and during the religious ceremony and the preparation and the night, the soiree, there's great opportunities for amazing shots. The photos are everywhere.
Yeah.
And Alfred's a street photographer. He should do it like that.
Yeah, I mean, the last wedding I shot actually was my daughter's, which I was in. It was just kind of a casual shoot because we did have a photographer, and that was a lot looser.
Really? And did you pay yourself?
Yeah. I couldn't afford it.
Did you have fun?
I'm sorry?
Who else?
Shooting your daughter's?
Oh, yeah. I got it in where I could.
Yeah. That's kind of difficult, being the father of the bride and then shooting it too.
Yeah.
And paying for it and shooting it.
Well, I shot around the other photographer, so it's not like I was the photographer for the day.
Hey, salut. Hi, Tom. Enchanté. My name is Sue. I lived up there.
Sue Waller.
Yeah, everybody.
Hi, Sue.
Sue lived in France for many years.
Yeah. Yeah, I came back to renew my visa only and got everything stolen.
Oh, where'd you live in France, Sue?
17 years of work. I was in Paris in the Bastille for a couple years, and then I was down in kind of like redneck rural France, absolutely beautiful central southwest. It's like 8 hours directly south of Paris in the middle of nowhere.
France
and
is
I have almost nothing to show for it because it all got taken when I came back to the States to renew my visa.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, so now but the thing about photography is you just can keep on shooting, right? And I find your work, of course, super inspiring. I'm sticking around as long as my elderly mom's still here, but I'm going to be going back and forth to Europe soon and to Paris and everywhere. And I know it painfully so that the fashion, because I started out as a designer actually, is so
great
much
designer,
wildly creative in Europe. And I know the magazines are insane. I mean, there's a couple places that I used to go to and spend all of my money in Le Marais for magazines. Is just incredible for fashion, design,
Aren't
art.
they amazing? And
Yeah.
they pop up all the time.
Oh, and there's more and more. So my question for you is, who are the ones that you've worked with somewhat recently, or let's say last 5 years?
Honest with you, Sue, I haven't done magazine work in a few years. I do catalogs or
Right. Yeah.
old clients and things like that.
I'm just wondering who are the guys, the great people to work with? And I know once I get over there and start networking, but I just thought your best experiences for your most creative work that was kind of, not weddings, but art wise, what were your best experiences?
My best experiences art wise, shooting, but was getting ideas and shooting what I wanted to do, because a lot of magazines have formulas. I made the mistake a couple of times. One big one in Miami, they sent me. I'd shot for this women's magazine. What was it called? I forgot. In Italy, they loved the shoot I did. I was in Miami. They sent me a whole bathing suit collection, and I shot my style of really funky, wild, and they didn't accept it at all. And I was really bummed out.
Yeah, some people just don't get it.
So the things I do for myself, the kid shootings and some of the diner shoot and dozens of other shots that I created myself and then sold to the magazines, were the best jobs easily.
Oh, sure. And those are the ones that we should put into to send out to outer space as proof of our cultural and artists creative existence on this planet. It's just because it doesn't sell or it doesn't.
Some of the magazine work was great and fun, but the ones I created myself, did it myself with the stylist, and those are definitely the favorites.
Okay, well, good. That's encouraging. Yeah, I know it doesn't always.
And by the way,
anyone to get into fashion, do like Robert did, shoot your own style and you got to find a style. That's number one.
Oh, I have style. I've got my style, and I all the fashion also. So that my problem is I'm a show that never took business classes and didn't have an IP lawyer early enough.
Susan got one of the style awards because we put so much emphasis in creating the style.
Yeah,
and so she got it.
I think I saw that, and you said that, yes, she was a designer. I saw that shot. It was beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, I was running with the big dogs. I was making and designing everything myself, and then making it by hand and selling next to Balenciaga, all the big guys, and then one of them
really
cashed in. Yeah. I was
and I must say, on Sue's behalf, but she wouldn't say a word about it. If you Google her on Project Runaway, she was one of the big hits there, and even got offered her own TV show.
Really?
I did it as a joke and to get my fashion photographer, Spanish loft mate in Brooklyn off of my back. I won't speak to you unless you blah, blah, blah. And I went as a total joke, and they picked me because they knew I was going to be difficult, because I was just like anti-commercial, anti this and that. Didn't know how to use the machines, and anyway, it was ridiculous. So don't look me up that way. But thanks, Robert.
She's great with what she does.
I miss all that, and it's like I've always wanted to clone myself, because doing everything yourself, if you physically could, is like that's when you can achieve your complete vision, and it's like it's hard to achieve when you have to pay rent or even have workspace, whatever, it's just like, so if we could clone ourselves, that would be amazing. But Robert has been a wonderful, he kicks me in the butt, and he reminds me that he's always still there, and to never give up. And I think we're all so fortunate to have him in our lives. I
wouldn't be where I am without this part.
Oh yeah, he's amazing. We've got him for sure.
It sounds like I have a lot of ringers as guests or members or whatever, but
I'll let you go. But listen, I'll look you and your family up when I'm in next time in Paris. And yes, thank you so much. And your work is amazingly inspiring. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Robert.
Definitely.
A pleasure.
A bientôt, j'espère. Right.
You too.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
I know we have somebody else has a question.
Hi, Tom.
that?
This is Marit.
Hi, Marit. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I wanted to start out to tell you I used to drive a Fiat too. Back in the 1990s. I love that little Fiat.
Oh, well, I had a 124 Fiat. It was a tiny station wagon.
Yeah, I had a
It was like a clown car.
What did you have?
I had a Ritmo, Fiat Ritmo.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that, but it's a small car.
Yes, very small. Anyway, I was very impressed with all your photos, and I find it amusing that you are in Paris now during the Olympic.
Yeah.
And that you photographed a wedding. Did you use the Olympic, like that international event? Did you use that in your shoot, or?
No, a lot of the weddings now are kind of there. It's been slow for weddings. I did shoot the opening ceremony with the royal family on their rooftop during the opening ceremony of the Olympics. That was like an hour shooting.
Yes, I watched the whole opening of the openings. I was totally amazed. I thought it's one of the best opening ceremonies we have had. And I'm amazed.
River, unbelievable.
Yeah. So what did you photograph there?
I shot the opening ceremony on top for a private family on their rooftop terrace overlooking the Seine, where all the boats went by and all the grandstands. And it was for the Royal Highnesses de Bourbon of Sicily.
Yeah, I was wondering what royals, because they don't have royals in France, do they?
They're from the Bourbon family in Sicily in the 18th and 19th century. They were the kings and queens of Sicily for 200 years.
Well, so they engaged you then?
Yes.
Did they? Wow.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
One of the princesses called me direct.
Wow. And have you seen Martha Stewart and Snoop Dogg?
Snoop Dogg's having a great time. He's doing all the events.
Yeah, maybe you get the wedding for shoot.
It's funny.
People plan their stuff before, after. And a lot of Parisians left town for that because, the security is so tight you can't get close to it unless you pay for a seat.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's understandable.
Thousands and thousands.
I read where Paris...
it's funny. Sorry.
Go ahead, Robert.
No. I was just going to say, as far as Martha Stewart, it just so happened that my son, Tom Lee, is shooting Martha Stewart this week in New York.
Really?
Oh, wow.
And it went along with Shaquille O'Neal, that he shot this past week.
Wow.
In LA. But I had to throw it in with some,
Robert's son's amazing.
Was you know of it?
I hope that all your people on your site have seen your son's work.
Eventually, after I mention every once in a while. I have 3 boys. Anyway, I got it. And the father doesn't compete with them. Please continue.
I just have one more. Yeah, sure. I just have one more question, because I think I read where it's very strict with street photography in Paris. How do you navigate if you are not allowed to photograph the Eiffel Tower or whatever?
That's true, Marit. I've never had a problem. No.
Okay.
Sometimes if you put a fashion couple or a wedding couple, if you go inside a store or inside a cafe, you just politely ask. And 99% of the time they say yes. And I never had a problem shooting street photos. Never. You can shoot anything. It's public.
Yeah.
It's public domain.
Yeah. And by the way, for your information, you guys, while mentioning that, just for your information, if you ever want to shoot in New York, the New York Film Commission is so, they are so cooperative. And they might ask for that you need a permit or a certificate of insurance, which is no problem, but they'll do anything for you. If it has certain things that they need, they even give you police with it with no charge, because they depend on that for the economy. So they're very cooperative. You go to New York Film Commission, all over. And a lot of times you're better off not even asking, do what Tom says in the same way that you would do it in Paris.
Excellent. Thank you both. Thank you so much.
Very nice talking to you.
So, Tom, is there anything more that you want to say, or anyone else have anything else to say?
Just live.
No, Tom does have anything to say.
Yeah. Get out there and shoot and learn by your mistakes, and life's short, and go for it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, and we'll be together again soon.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Tom. This was fun.